There we go.
Okay. We're online. I have a video editor anyway, so if we want to cut something out.
Okay.
Do we want to make an intro and say blah blah?
Why not? Let's go for it. Okay, so I guess there's a lot of things we like. Is this a joint podcast? We don't have a name for it then.
Let's have a name for this shit. Trying to make myself like
Dedicated Space Cadets?
I thought Space Cadet sounds good. Yeah,
Like
dedicated.
Dedicated Space Cadets.
What does dedicated stand for?
Like, like, I've been called a Space Cadet a lot in my life, but it's kind of pejorative. It's kind of like a way of saying I'm somebody with my head always in the clouds, and or like someone who smokes too much pot, maybe.
Right.
I've had it said to me like once as a nice thing, like including all that, and they're like, no, but I like space cadets, and I trusted. Like only once have I trusted the person because she's a bit of a space cadet. I was like, oh, I only trust you because you're a bit of a space cadet. We should be calling ourselves space cadet. But since then, I was like, fuck it. No, I am definitely a space cadet. But the difference is I'm dedicated. Like I don't slip into.
Wait, it cut off. This is not good. Come on. It cut off, man. What's that,
Yeah, I
man?
know, right?
People will have
I
to put up
know.
with it. But tell me, you're dedicated because you don't slip into.
That's a great place to start, probably, because I don't slip into. Yeah, I guess that's a way of reclaiming the term. To like accept it and go one step further, embrace it, and then go one step further and say, that's what separates me from you. And everything that I might say and do in conversation that is enviable is exactly because of the reasons that you want to call me a space cadet. Can you deal with that, bitch?
Yeah, okay, let's not do that then. Let's do that.
Is this something that resonates? Another name that I've given up on is primitively advanced. Amar and Pierre on the primitively advanced. If I can't even say it right, it's not a good name.
We can. How about advanced space cadets?
Advanced space cadets. I don't know. Sounds cocky.
Sorry, that's me.
See, I know, but like, see, dedicated kind of like it leads to advanced, but in a way of like, because I'm dedicated to it, bitch. Like I accept it. Like the advance gets proven rather than like putting it in the title advance and people go, oh, that's quite a claim, Mr. Advance. Nah, dedicated. I'm a
Liberal.
guy. No, I don't want to use space cadets. If it's not gonna, it's. I want to keep it as my brand.
Okay.
Sorry, that's a dick move.
Okay. No space cadets. Okay.
You don't like primitively advanced then.
Void runners.
Void runners. I really like that actually.
Let's do that, man.
Okay, void runners. Boom.
Yeah.
Fuck. I'm still reveling in how deep it is. The void.
Yeah. The abyss. Cool, man. So.
What void are we gonna enter today? What void are we gonna run across along today?
I'm still left with our last chat about the spiritual void.
The spiritual void. Is
You
it
have
like?
Do you have a spiritual void inside yourself?
Well, I think spirituality, at its core essence, is a place of void. It is space. I think it's a great place to start. I think the people have spiritual blinders on. I think we have spiritual blinders on.
That blind us from.
Blinders are from how good we can put into words tools that allow us to navigate a void.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, like there's a perceived reality we gotta accept because it's there. So it means somewhere we're creating it if we are the creators of our reality, right? If we're like the ultimate manifestors, somewhere, if there's a higher self, it incorporates everything that is what seems earthly in front of us, right? So our spirituality would be like a dedication or a commitment to finding out if the whole extension of me is something that would create this, then how do I connect this part of me, let it see what the whole extension of me starts to feel or look like? It's like a pulling out. And I think the best we can do is come up with words that evoke practices such as manifestation. And what are the rules of the manifestation? We only start to kind of feel them as you play with the idea, and then see what kind of wisdom comes in your way when you ask the questions of like, what does it mean? And then there's like manifestation. Okay, this is the best I've got it boiled down to. I like the quantum potential, as Deepak Chopra would say.
Yes, mister. Come on, go ahead.
I like
Tell us then.
the quantum potential theory about, I don't know, a lot of people associate it to the heart space. The heart
What are you
contains
saying?
the quantum potential. So like the potential of future timelines that are infinite that we can generate.
Can I have curry with it?
Well, yeah, if you know how to manifest, right? You can have, like, I don't know. Do you have to go through a logical path to the curry, or can you, like, if you're good enough at manifesting, the curry just, you can will it into.
I just want a curry from the piri piri store.
Fuck.
Quantum curry please with manifestation, huh? Onion bhaji on top.
And you were saying, do we want to get shot because I mentioned like N-word in an analogy? And now you're all like,
Asians do not shoot. They forgive because they make karma if they shoot you, huh?
yeah, but they're moving away from karma. They want the American dream, you know?
Oh, fuck.
They want the capitalist dream. That's why they're so good at, like, the higher classes are so good at money, you know?
I was not aware of that, mister.
I mean, no, I guess it depends because not all Asians are, you know, like the Indians
Not
have
all
more
Asians are
pride.
the same. Don't say all Asians are the same.
No, I'm saying they're not.
They're not the same,
I'm
of
saying I'm
course.
probably thinking of the Indian, like Indian people, because they have a lot more of a strong caste system. Pakistanis kind of got
Chromecast.
yeah, they got separated off. Religious differences. They're not even Hindu, so they're not even privy to the Indian caste system, right? They're Muslim, which is even like a lesser religion to the Hindus. You know?
Is it?
I don't know.
Why? Wait. yeah, it is.
Because the Hindus got multiple gods and all, because they beef. Because they beef in the first place. This is what I'm basing. That's a good question. This is what I'm basing on. Because the Hindus and the Muslims beefed enough for India to split Pakistan and India, right? And still, what we as the West, what we in the West have permeated into our culture more is Hindu ancient culture, which we associate with India. Nobody wants Muslim culture from Pakistan. Like it's
But I
not.
must say
It doesn't come
Muslims
with the
are
same prestige.
yeah, that's true. That's true. For
No,
some
when you
reason.
think of Muslim,
I
like if
think
you think of prestigious Muslim contributions, you think of like ancient Mesopotamia.
the Muslims are pretty awesome, man. Their religion is actually pretty awesome. I've studied it very little. And the
I'm not
Sufis are
disputing
awesome.
this. Yeah, but you don't think of Pakistan. You think of the Sufis. You think of like what the Arabian Peninsula and Egypt and stuff.
You know that compared to Hindu religion and to Christian religion, in the Muslim religion, you can do whatever you want, like sin, do anything. Yeah. If you go one time to Mecca, all your sins are forgiven. That's it.
Don't the Christians kind of have that with the confession box?
I think the Christians think that Jesus died for them and they're guilty and there's original sin and all this fuckery.
Yeah, but there's original sin. But the way out of that is baptism. It's like you are condemned to hell with original sin. Remember, I got brought up Catholic.
Okay.
So I went through the indoctrination, and the whole theory is this: you're born dirty until you get baptized into the church. When you're baptized into the church, it means you accept the responsibilities of the religion. So you're washed of original sin and stuck in the responsibilities of the church. And then the next thing, you've got to prepare yourself for First Communion, which is eating the body of Christ and drinking the blood of Christ.
Yeah.
You've got to be prepared for it. You've got to be religiously educated enough for it. And before we did that, at least in our training, is we had to confess. So we were purged of our sins before we could take First Communion.
See, so if you're a Muslim, you can sin, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to prepare yourself. Then go to Mecca, and you're forgiven. Boom.
So they don't even have like a school before that. You just oh, you're Muslim, you know this place Mecca. You're good, man. Once you know Mecca, do whatever you want.
Yeah, and you're born sinless. No guilt, man. No guilt. That's really good for your.
Is that the same for women?
I don't know, man.
Like maybe technically it's the same for women, but
I think technically, but the men really dominate.
Yeah, the men are guarding the doors to Mecca.
You can't be forgiven.
It's like in that. You ever seen the movie Dogma with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck? And they're like fallen angels, and they this church is losing like members and stuff. So the bishop or something in some American town creates a day where technically anyone who walks through the doors of this church is wiped slate clean of their sins, and the angels hear that and they're like, "Oh fuck! If we can make it through the doors, all hell breaks loose because that's changed all the rules." So I'm imagining like men at the like gates of Mecca being like, yeah. The rules are anyone who goes through, whenever a woman goes through, you know, like in the hall, the board is flipped. So like, because they can't change the rule, they guard the door.
It's a pretty touching subject as well. So anyway, back to the quantum soup. If you want the quantum curry, I mean, when you manifest the spicy chicken, you feel it on your tongue. It's from God. That's how you know God exists.
No, I don't know, man, because
it's a sensory experience, enlightenment. You don't just think of it. You eat the curry.
Yeah, but my thing is like, so you know God exists. Like, you know God exists. You know you are God because you manifested the curry.
Shit. But that's a presupposition that you are God and you created this. I don't really. I'm 50-50 with that. In my experience, there's more than that. Like some coincidences that happen in my life, they are like, thanks for the help.
Yeah. Well, this is why I like the theory of like the higher self. Like, you are God, but if you incorporate your higher self, and we're not to be fully incorporated with our higher selves, at least in knowing.
So if
like,
I'm
that's
God,
a journey,
and my higher self is the greater God, then who
like
the fuck am I talking with?
A reflection of yourself.
Cool, man. It's my show. That's awesome, man. I like my reflections.
Yeah, that basically what the theory would say is that it's all your show. Your show lives on its own as the aspect of someone else far away even when you're not there.
Mm.
I don't know, man.
That,
This is
that's
what I
that.
play with.
Me too, and it is how I feel. Oftentimes, but then it doesn't. When something feels right, when you feel, yeah, this is it. It doesn't feel like this is it. It feels more like a hunch, more like a finger pointing towards the moon, but it doesn't feel like the moon.
Okay. Yeah. And I think I agree with you, and I think that's the dilemma that gives us like a calling, is that it doesn't fully feel right.
Mm.
Like that's what spurs us into action. And I think words are never going to describe it right. It's how those words help us navigate a divine space, and that's what I mean by in the end. I think everything is void, and the tools of the words of spirituality we choose to accept depend on the tools we're going to offer ourselves to navigate the fact that actually each of us ultimately has the power to create everything just as much as someone else. But it also creates like, in a sense, like a power block. Like you don't want to just be any fucking thing. If you are God and you did create this, you need to create your own security system inside yourself. I think we are a security system within our higher selves to like have the beauty of the complexity of like solid matter be real, be what it is. And
I
like
think
if we are God, we are also the process by which it is safe to gain a stronger grasp on manifestation. Does that make sense? Like you are that process. Like you are that timeline. Like God is that timeline. God isn't just us. God is like a timeline in which we are an influence. So I think that's where it starts to merge with the idea of like the inner and outer space. Like it's all one.
okay.
Well, dude, if you think about it, it's kind of already happening right in front of us as us. Like we're a
But
bunch of
that's
cells.
you.
We're a bunch of
Yeah,
cells. We feel like we're us, but we got to find out what our bunch of cells are doing to really know what the
yeah.
fuck we're doing. And we've got to align ourselves with what our cells do naturally to really have more control over who we are. We got to
When
align,
you say we, who are you
like
talking about?
people in general. We go to psychiatrists to align ourselves with our subconscious does
So who
naturally.
is themselves?
Well, here I'm talking about what just feels like the most obvious reality.
If you
Amar,
want to align
Pierre.
your, so yeah, so if you want to align yourself with yourselves, you, right?
Yeah, if you want to align yourself with your greatest potential,
Who is yourself?
the Godhead divided that feels like Pierre. This guy over here that waves his arm and sees arms waving in the reflection on the Skype screen. I'm just kicking around the can. I'm not saying this is true. I'm saying this is the best that I've gotten to. But when I play with these concepts, I go, okay, well, what does that mean? And then I go, oh, well, there's kind of proof right in front of me, like my cells. My cells are full of DNA. Somehow that DNA is the same DNA that evolved from like one cell that was a whole, like that was a whole person, one cell. Somehow the DNA came into contact with other DNA, like the mitochondria. Every one of our cells, this is one of the things that blows my mind. Every animal cell has a mitochondria in it. Evolutionary biologists believe that
That's good info.
that the amoeba or some amoeba type unicellular organism kept eating something like a mitochondria, and there was like a resistance from the mitochondria. And this happened over time long enough that eventually they realized there was a mutual benefit. Like the mitochondria couldn't help it be eaten. It could offer energy if it was not digested. Something like that. I'm not the scientist, but something like that. And eventually, next time that cell that ate the mitochondria divided, it also divided to have a mitochondria in it, even though originally the mitochondria has its own DNA. Right in us now, every single one of our cells has a little organelle in it that is its own creature because it has its own DNA. Yet, for some reason, when our cells replicate, they replicate with the mitochondria as part of replication. But the mitochondria has its own DNA in it. That's what made animals, plants, same thing with the chloroplast. A plant cell was something that came into harmony with the chloroplast, which has its own DNA.
So knowing this, how the fuck do you think you have a higher self?
Same way it feels to be me, even though I'm comprised of all these individual cells' consciousness.
Yeah,
Surely on a planetary scale, I might be a mitochondria to a cell that is Earth, to an organism that is the universe. It starts to take a scale that's not comprehensible to us. But the same way that what's in front of us took a scale that wasn't comprehensible to us until we had a microscope.
right. Well, on my side, like I super like what you say with the mitochondria, and I'm in the same time I've really discarded all these higher self theories, and
Cool.
I regard the voice in my head as the voice of all the cells. They evolved enough to actually create a voice, and this voice, unfortunately, it created language, and then it's a bit like a virus because language says I am, and therefore the voice that the body created thinks it is the one that runs the body, almost as if it created the body and it is the higher self. And like people have contradicting thoughts, contradicting language in their mind, and they want to kill themselves. But it's a voice wanting to kill itself, but it ends up killing the live body that created the voice.
So would you say the higher self is really more a lower self? Like it is the cells they evolved to create this voice. They grew. They wanted to be something bigger. Or they just did. They just do something that grows to be something bigger. I don't know which one's true.
I just discard the higher self. I just discard the higher self idea completely.
But you said there's a voice that comes out of it. And you think that's a voice created by all this? Yeah.
By all the cells, like the intestines and the liver and all this shit that I have, manages to send signals and create a voice.
Okay, but what if we thought about a less glorified higher self? But like those cells on their own don't have this big mouth to have that voice come out, or this big brain to have that voice influence all their community. So we're like a higher version of what they were capable of on their own. And that gave a voice. What came with it was a voice. You said the voice is like a virus because we can be confused to it or not. Maybe we don't know when things evolve into something bigger, what it's going to come along with.
Yeah.
And that thing could be a virus because we've got to form a relationship with the power of it. Like it then tells you the new rules you got to tackle, which come along with the ego and all this stuff. And these are tools. Maybe these are tools the cells in us are trying to yell as a voice. I don't know how to communicate with you without you thinking that it's.
But they actually do. It's language is the parasite because the body, right? When you meditate, when you silence the fucking voice, the language.
Yeah.
You're actually in tune with the body, and the body knows already what it wants to do.
So language comes in service of the body rather than in service of itself.
Yeah.
Okay, but I hear you, and I wonder about this because I'm stubborn about it. I like the inner voice. I like it. I want to give it. This is maybe an absurd exercise I do because I get told I think too much all the time, and my way of learning has been thinking myself into filling the walls of what makes sense and doesn't make sense in the world of thought. I know it disconnects me from my body. I kind of believe that's true, But in some ways, it connects me from the body because I've gone, oh, I've explored how thought shapes itself. Like I've tried to give it a mathematical shape. But the thing is, words deserve a lot of respect for you to be able to trust them. Like you've got to let the world give you the best definition to the words rather than your needs from words to give them the best definition. Does that make sense?
I didn't get it. Just the last bit.
Yeah. I've said it before as like, because I find myself quite good at tripping people up when they're saying things they don't mean. Like it's not exactly what they mean, but that's a better way to say it to get what they want. You know, people do that a lot.
Mm.
It's like, these words mean enough of what I'm hoping to say to get what I want. But if the person knew what I really wanted from these words, they realize I'm not using these words for what these words really mean. I'm using these words for what I hope they mean to that person.
Right.
Does that make sense? I'm using these words for what I hope they mean to that person so I can get what I want from these words. I do a thing where it's like, I don't want to use words except for what they seem to mean the most of the time, all of the time.
Okay.
Otherwise, I'm cheapening words, and I'm creating an insanity within myself with words. And I think a lot of us are suffering because we're learning how words can get us what we want rather than scientifically testing a word. You know, in science, you test something till it fails.
Mm.
Like instead of testing words to where they fail, and I think that's where honesty is important. And a lot of people are scared of honesty because it means understanding a word in a way that might not be flattering, but which is close to what that word actually means. Or sometimes it feels like validating something that feels evil, but it's still, for us to designate evil, we got to use words as best, like as precisely as we can, so we can render down what we have a problem with as precisely as it can. And by doing that, we can notice sometimes when what we see as evil sometimes could be a projection of ourselves. Only if we use words really responsibly. Like, I'm not going to kind of cheat what this word means. Are we really communicating what we think? It's like sometimes we confuse the two. What we think is wrong and something that we just don't like in ourselves. So I have this thing where, like, no, I want to make a cause. I want to make a case for the evil. I want to make a case for words, but I'm doing this like sort of get out of my way manner in which if my environment's proven to me that there's a lack in the way I've expressed the word, then it wasn't. Then I need to find a new bunch of words. You know, and I guess my best example is I see it with students and kids, and kids are great to learn with because they do the same things adults do, but without conviction, without as much conviction. Like they just they don't care about losing as much. They care about losing, but not as much as adults. I think we build all these layers on top of losing. We confuse it with like a survival fight or flight situation where, you know, like death is at the corner, around the corner from losing. Kids, yeah, they just feel gross taking it that far, right? Unless they got a rough life, and it's easier to accept that a kid has a rough life to explain their behavior than an adult has a rough life to explain their behavior. I don't know why, because we're less threatened by kids. So with kids in school, when they, for example, a lot of the time, it'll be half an hour into class, and I'll be going around more vigilantly to see who's doing the work, or even let's say 20 minutes, and I'll come across that kid who was trying to do everything to make it seem like he's a nice person until then, who I realize is not doing the work, and then I'll say, why haven't you started the work? Because they'll say, because I don't know what it is. And I'll say, you want to say that so proudly? They say, what do you mean? I said, the work's been on the board since I got in here. Oh, but I didn't see it. Oh, so you want to also let me know that you don't listen to me until I'm in front of you questioning you. They say, no, I didn't say that. I said, well, I've said it 5 times. So that's proof that you don't listen to me until I'm right in front of you. But you want to say that's a good excuse for you not to have done work. I didn't say that. Well, you kind of are if you're not taking into account everything that happened. If you want the world to be everything you chose to witness, then what you're saying is true. But the world is happening despite what you can see of it or not. So a better way to say the truth would be to say, yeah, sir, I wasn't listening to you. I didn't want to find out what work was, so I didn't look at the board, so I could have an excuse to not know what the work was. But instead, this kid has an emotional reaction to his truth, which is, this is not fair because I didn't know what the work was. And then instead of engaging with that, I would say, what would your regular teacher accept? Would you not get in trouble for not thinking the first thing you should do is look at the board when the teacher said your assignment's on the board, and getting your book open to the page and writing the date and da-da-da-da, and then not even go as far as like, wait, what year? You're year 10? And people are allowed to reach year 10 without knowing that you start with the date, and you start by looking for work by looking at what is said to be the work, and that you start to be able to do the work by opening the book that's on the board to the page that's on the board and reading the questions. But they'll have an emotional response to the bullshit that they use as words. And I think we do that still as adults, and it's hard not to. You gotta have a lot of discipline to making sure you're using words responsibly.
Mm.
But that being said, I do agree with you in that there's some words can keep you disconnected from something. I struggle with it. Because maybe that's not the best way for us as humans, as creatures, to communicate. Maybe words have a better purpose, not being precise, and our feelings motivated. Because there's more play if you're not. If I imagine there's a world of more play if it's actually more morally just to use words incorrectly, but as long as it feels like you're using it the right way. I don't know.
I totally like what you say about words, and I think it's about integrating rather than saying this is right, that is wrong, or this is more important. For me, I'm very aware of my feelings, and I'm also very aware of other people's feelings and vibes, and pre-thinking. Like pre-thinking, you have like a hunch, a thing that's lurking in the background, and you might transform it into a thought or not. And I'm mostly aware of those things. And I notice how sometimes thoughts distract us from actually clearly communicating on the empathetic, on the other vibe, almost like it's not telepathy. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And to be honest, I have to admit that my need to like have things stated clearly in words have obstructed me from following impulses, which I don't know if you'd agree, seem to always lead to unwanted results. Like you gotta trust the pre-thought impulse. You gotta know how to read it. You gotta know how to trust it and follow it. And then sometimes needing to know an answer with words stops you. It's like, bring back the quantum potential, stops you from having surrender into
They're
your
not
ability.
doing the accent.
The quantum potential takes a surrender of love.
Of what?
It takes a surrender to love.
To
It
love?
it is from the heart. It is from the
Are
heart.
okay, go on,
It
mister.
is not from the mind. That is the ego. It is from the heart.
Where is it the heart going, Guru?
The heart is the center of all potential. It
Oh
is
my
neutral.
God, who made that up?
It is neutral.
Oh yes, okay.
The thought then gives it A non-neutral potential.
Very wise. How much money do I owe you?
Look, I'm just saying, how much does it cost for rhinestone glasses? How much does it cost for diamonds in my glasses?
It's 3,000 rupee.
Well, that is how much you owe me then. Because
Okay, master.
I want to manifest these diamonds in my glasses.
Let me sell my wife and I will give you the money.
The teaching is worth it. You will see.
Very good. Thank you. Yes.
So why do you want to make
I
fun of that?
dedicate my mind to you.
Why do you want to make fun of that? Let's break that down.
I am your mind slave.
No, I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to.
I need to learn more and more in this life to be fulfilled.
Fuck you, this is what I get all the time. It's like I have all these thoughts about something and somebody goes, I don't know how to get around that. You must be an asshole. Let's go then, come on. It's like
You told me something is wrong with me and then you told me you will give me the answer. So now I am sold to you.
When did I tell you something was wrong with you?
In another episode.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, see, that's what you're gonna manifest.
No,
I'm telling you,
was the
look,
question?
tell me I'm wrong. I'm open to hearing it.
Well, I was just making fun of that guy because for me they're salesmen. Well intentioned and deluded salesman.
Okay. But so is it wrong to sell
assumptions? It's not wrong to sell assumptions. It's very good. Mind his business.
But there's a funny thing of like people don't value assumptions until there's a price on it. We've become this strange society of like, if you and I were to go out and say this stuff, we're like, you're not, you know, a fucking TV show, a website, rhinestone glasses. What are you doing, right? Like you haven't used this in the scale of survival to make enough profit. So like, I want to hear from someone who'd give them everything they wanted.
I don't want people to value my assumption. Fuck them.
Ah, fair enough. That's the difference. You don't want them to value your assumptions. Okay. Okay, yeah, no. Touche. Fair enough.
I can make so a thing that I do since a while is listen to what these teachers say and really see it all as a big assumption. Like love. Who the fuck made up love? What the fuck is love?
But it's kind of beautiful that we can't tack it down, right?
It's wonderful because it sells better. It's more intriguing.
I think you're cheapening the power of like a word that creates a vacuum in the brain. Like,
oh, is that what it does?
well, it kind of does, no?
Sure it does, yes. That is the power of true love that you're experiencing.
Like here's the thing.
Yes, sir.
It's the most romanticized thing. It's the most written about, sung about. Like almost, I'd even go as far as imagine aspired to thing. No? Religions have been built around it.
What's been built around fear and sin and heaven?
What's sung about? Yeah, but there's eternal love and unconditional love and the Heavenly Father and the love of there's
fear of sin.
The love of Christ. There's love as well.
Life is suffering, Buddha says.
Does Buddha not say anything about love?
he might. I mean, if you want to, I'm sure we'll find something.
No, but maybe I've never heard any Buddha say anything about love, so that's a good point. But So do you think the idea of love causes more destruction than it does cause good?
Oh, I'm not seeing it like that. I'm seeing it
Well,
for
but I'm asking you.
myself.
I'm asking you to have an opinion.
I'm not framing it like that for myself.
Okay, but I'm
I'm
asking you to
framing
have
it
an
as
opinion.
I'm framing it as being a distraction, really. And I'm also looking at it more recently as being, so if human nature is survival and pleasure, yeah, I think it's very convenient for the humans who are in power to create and push the concept of love. I
Do
think,
do the humans that are in power push the concept of love?
yeah, I think they push religion, and I think they push all the new age stuff. And I think they push the duality of love and fear, which I think is really made up.
I don't know. I don't know if I agree that they're pushing love. I agree they're commercializing it.
I
They're
think
selling us sex as love. I don't know. I think if you want to grasp the way that at least the religions are pushing love, spirituality is pushing love, it's not aspired to commonly in our society. And it looks like a self-trust. It looks like a self-empowerment. It looks like, at the same time, a humility to be taught by others.
and that's another thing for me. Love is an umbrella term.
Yeah.
Like
But
what does mean? What is love? Humility to be taught by others, warm feelings towards others, security. I don't know, attachment. Blah 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 blah.
it's an
Where's love?
unnameable. Yeah, but that's the power of it. It's an undefinable thing, but by nature,
It's a bit like God, like the Christian God.
why just the Christian God? Like all gods.
Okay.
Like there's no switch that goes on in our heads where we've understood inextricably that the word God has been encountered. You know, like language doesn't even work like that. We use language, but language isn't necessarily linked to anything physically concrete. Like a cup only becomes a cup because we call it cup. A table only becomes a table because we call it table. We could put a table outside and sit under it in the rain, and it would be serving the purpose of a roof, which it might serve well enough.
Nevertheless, it exists.
But it doesn't exist as a table.
It exists as a thing, though.
It exists as a thing just as much as anything else is a thing.
So how is love a thing?
Well, if anything's anything to any human being, or anything's worth expressing at all in words, it's as a function. And my thing is the concept love serves by virtue of its power in the world, by virtue of the power of the word, not what we've done with it, but by virtue of how much stuff it sucks into defining, it serves as a measuring stick for a bunch of stuff that is helpful to tack down in the word love that we trust. Sometimes just the word we tack down meaning with creates distrust that's not necessary to the thing. And love, for some reason, without having a definition that anyone can agree upon, has an evocation of something that it should be good for you, if it's real at all. It's like few other words do that. Divine does that to a certain extent. Some people, it falls into magical thinking. But to anyone who accepts and finds love in the divine, then you get these weird things where the words can go into one another. Divine tends to reserve a space of a trusting aspect, or frightening one, because it's supernatural. But look at what that space in the brain, this is why love probably equates, maybe, when the people use the word frequency, to a certain level of frequency. Because for most people to agree that something came out of love, it's going to have to be awe-inspiring. Or even if it's a bad thing, it's going to have to reflect the depth and complexity of human emotion and turmoil. You know, someone can kill their lover out of jealousy that could only exist with a certain level of love.
Oh.
You know, or I don't know, someone can
Can't there be
love...
just jealousy?
No, I think when two people are in love...
You mean super attached to each other?
Well, if love's going to mean anything, now you're starting to define love as what it's not.
Because I see it as an umbrella. So then what is love?
So it's an idea. It's an idea of things we can't express. It's an anchor to motivation towards certain behavior.
Yeah, definitely. Fuck that. And I say fuck that because I've been down that road for many years and I'm really bored and tired of it. You know.
Okay. So would you discount the word love as a useful part of your vocabulary at all then?
No, I would use love to express feelings of need towards somebody or feelings of warmth and need towards somebody.
Okay. So is there a certain weakness in accepting utility in the word love?
Yeah, because I become a woo-woo hippie snowflake.
So it can't help but access that part, like a woo hippie snowflake part of you.
Yeah, I think this love takes me towards divine and towards all kind of stuff, which I've dabbled in that. You know, I've been in that area for long enough, and I'm now. I'm trying to just let go of concepts and drives, and you know, I'm not good enough because I need standards, and you know, I fail when I don't reach a standard, and I can't be myself because I have to push towards the love, towards all those standards.
But then what if you're your own standard of love? I kind of agree with you. I kind of see where you're going. That once love is a debatable topic, all of a sudden you can fail or rise to someone's idea of love, and you're both using the same word love. You know, you and that other person, and really you're reflecting some aspect of yourself. It's a funny one. It does create like a kind of selfishness around the word because everyone wants to be deserving of love, but nobody
And that's
wants.
another joke.
But nobody wants someone else's idea of love to be more correct than their own, because then they've been aspiring towards deserving something that was false, you know.
And I want to add to this the bullshit that we all deserve love, and we've all been born worthy, and we all deserve respect. That's bullshit, and it creates trauma because you're told you deserve love, and then when somebody doesn't love you, you're like, oh fuck, you know, it's so bad. I'm a victim. I've been aggressed.
Yeah. Yeah. Can we say that sometimes love hurts, or is that just another? Like rendering to something too simple?
You can I think there's...
Is that another reduction? Is that reductionist to say sometimes love hurts? Did you reject the notions of opposites for something to be valued? Like, without pain, pleasure wouldn't be so valuable. See, I don't know. I feel like if you keep digging with it, there's something about the way we umbrella the bunch of things that we umbrella under love that comes down to the irreducible. It starts to give a space for this for conceiving the non-dual, which is something that whatever we are happens to fall into. That whatever the cells are mounted and masked to us, and us came along with a voice in our head. What's real is something that by our design is not graspable, because our brain's correcting.
Although that's just a thought. We just made that up. Literally, we just made this idea up that what's real is not graspable.
I think you can track it with science. I think you can. I think you can.
But if you believe in manifestation, if you believe in the quantum field,
yeah,
then we might just manifest everything that we've come up with science, all the complexities of the universe.
I have thought about that, yeah. And it's true that when I'm using one for an argument, I'm contradicting the other one. As I want to prove anything.
Coming back to love, the umbrella, I think there's one point in your life when you realize that everything is valuable. And I do mean everything. You can say you love everything. Everything is love.
Everything is valuable, yeah.
Yeah, so all the feelings, everything.
Maybe the evidence of love is outside of you and not what you want to define it as.
I would agree with that.
It's like I don't know. I just wrote like about this the other day. I wrote about love. But it was kind of interesting how much we did say without preparing, and how much we found ourselves in a like we very quickly found things that we wanted to say, and things that you wanted to challenge me on, and things I was kind of like, oh fuck, this is great. I'm so not allowed. Like, it's so gonna be hard to convince you of my opinion on this. This is great. Like, because I kind of know your side of this as well, and it's great. Maybe I'm too much of a bitch to shit on love like that. Maybe that's my need for securities. I don't want to give the idea of love, because then what do I have? Am I too weak to live without the idea hovering above me? That's I never thought of that before. And you're there kind of going, yeah, I'm ready to live without love fucking busting my balls, or making me feel inadequate for something that I can't even define, for something some other asshole can't even define, for something we're going to disagree upon, for something it's going to make us slightly selfish in order to get our version of it. Yes, it is crazy.
There is selfishness, I read Nietzsche, and Nietzsche says that this so-called love is actually ultimate selfishness.
That's good.
Like, I don't have the words for it, but it's like, you're so great and you're so amazing, and it's like, the ultimate thing and the ultimate show-off.
Yeah, but is love always like that? I mean, like, okay, here's the thing. Because of the idea of love, right? I will be able to try and spend time with my mom. Although she makes me lose my fucking mind, but I will have patience to find a lens in which she makes sense, even if it hurts my head, to find out what the world looks like through her eyes so that I can try and make this more harmonious. And maybe I'll never make it more harmonious, because maybe if I saw through her eyes, I'd realize that she does stuff that, like, what she does means that we have to hit heads. Like, that's part of some fucked up game in her head that she's not going to tell me the rules to. But secretly, she, like, love to her has to incorporate, she needs to be able to trip me up a couple times and watch me yell and get frustrated. And inside, she's like, I wish you wouldn't get so angry. Like, outside, she's like, I wish you wouldn't get so angry. Inside, she's like, haha, I won again, you cocky fuck. You know? But the idea of love, like this woman raised me, I popped out of her vagina, and what she is by design is compelled to want to pop me out of her vagina. Like, women have a biological clock, they have maternal urges, all this stuff. You know, their genes are screaming for them to pass me on. Pass me on. Selective pressures. Pass me on. So we're stuck in this vessel of flesh and blood. Sorry?
That's not love.
No. I'm not saying that is love. I'm not saying that is love. But this idea that I should love my mother, has pushed me, like, without knowing what love means, we're trying a million different things, pushed me to eventually start to explore the idea that, like, mother is such a heavy title that we just accept by default, put all these expectations around, etc., etc., etc. She's defined herself around it to a certain extent, etc., etc., etc. And I can't blame her for those forces that put pressure on her to accept these versions of reality. Those forces were there. They came with her. They were there before her. They were around her. They're out of her control. She can only just pick and choose things she has to believe, because you have to believe something to communicate with other people, right? And then I can go, oh, that's too heavy for her to face. Okay, but I wouldn't have ever tried so hard to think about it if I didn't think I should love my mother. You know, and lately I've been saying stuff like this to her. Like, exactly what I said, like, Mom Hilda, I was thinking about how much your whole body is geared to want to push a child out. To the point that women seem to suffer from this thing where, like, hormones control moments, and they gotta still live with a rational mind in their head and love themselves or feel good about what they are, despite they can completely be overwhelmed by, like, mood swings like during parts of the menstrual cycle, things like this. I'm like, I don't know what it's like to live with those biological pressures on myself. I barely understand the biological pressures that I have to deal with as a man. You know, weird stuff because of testosterone and alpha and hierarchy status claiming that helps me secrete serotonin so I can feel more achieved, so that our genes can push to the top of the hierarchies of people who will best. You know, sorry, all this bullshit. And then eventually my mom and I are starting to find, because of this idea that we should love each other, I'm trying to find patience with the fact that, this conversation is not going to go anywhere. And I tried for half an hour. It's made me hate her. I'm going to walk away. But at the same time, love on her end has gone, I really hate that happens. But there's something about us we can't help but do it. So I'm not even going to get angry. I'm just going to accept that that's how much time we spent together, and it ended with an argument, and tomorrow we'll still love each other. And it's like, ooh, that's weird. Love all of a sudden is this thing that's telling me to just accept the way things are. And even to accept if the way things are is that I can influence the way things are. And that I should fight to influence the way things are as much as I can. And to understand why someone might want to do that. And I don't know. Maybe you don't need love to do that. Maybe you can just be smart.
Yeah. But then you do. I mean, for me, it's just where I am. It's not like I've kind of outgrown love, but it doesn't make me above or below you, for example, or whatever. But it's just where I am. So I'm exactly there. So love really helped me try to have a better relationship with my mom. I struggled for 20 years. I studied psychology because of this, and I've done lots of shit just for this, out of love. And now I'm at the point where I want to get along with my mom just as much as I want to get along with everyone. And there's no love thing added to it. There's no should.
So you don't need that extra motivator of, yeah. And so it's more honest, it's more genuine to you.
Yeah, it's the natural me.
It's natural. Actually, then that's a good point. Because when you do something from a natural place, you're less likely to get frustrated.
Yeah, you don't fucking beat yourself up.
Yeah. And the truth is, we don't choose our family. So sometimes, like, why is it wrong to just go, well, that family doesn't represent me? I would be stronger and happier if I rejected the narrative of love. Like in that place. I often think about that a lot. Like maybe the idea of love, of needing love from my family has made me weaker in terms of adventuring into the world independently. Yeah. Fuck love.
I mean, yeah, how do you call it? There's a whole range of feelings which, when we say love, we might tick one another. So we don't have to fuck those feelings, but the whole struggle and chains and the concepts.
So do you think the word love is a bypass in a lot of situations? It's a bypass when there could be a wiser way to conceive what we're calling love?
Yeah. Because we're dishonest. When you tell somebody I love you, you could actually be honest. And if you have the capacity and the language for it, you could actually be honest and say what's really going on between you and somebody.
I've had people tell me what's really going on is you love yourself in that moment. Like you accept yourself in that moment. And you consider the other person responsible for it.
Feeling good about yourself.
Like, you've gotten some sort of acknowledgement. Like you've accepted worth to enough people to count for you to feel worth for yourself.
And your hormones go up. You haven't really accepted yourself because in a few weeks it's going away.
Yeah.
It's just hormones and shit.
So what's really happened is that person was part of a moment in time where you loved yourself. And then you've kind of given them responsibility for it. Or that person just was present and influencing a moment in time in which your hormones made you feel good.
I think I would go more with that.
Like even more basic. Yeah, but our hormones can also force us to feel bonded with someone.
Yeah.
Like that's a hormonal thing.
Yeah, or psychological as well.
And that's like for a purpose of like parenting, right? Our chemistry starts to bond and be dependent on someone like our chemical responses tend to become dependent on someone else.
I wish it was like that.
You don't think it's like that, but then we can get more disciplined with it. Like anything, like meditation makes you go, I don't have to be my thoughts. Somewhere you can go, oh, this is what feelings of loving someone comes along with, but I don't have to. It doesn't have to be the realest thing in the world to me.
I mean, what I'm saying is I wish I could feel bonded with someone. Sounds like a lovely possibility. I haven't really.
But like bonded in a way that feels more like it's just explained by chemicals.
But I mean, bond just lasts for a while, doesn't it? As long as the chemical bond. It's
I
just
think
like
in like the bravest version of ourselves, maybe in the bravest version of ourselves, the bond just lasts temporarily. And if it's a true like bond of wisdom and something like of high value, of high substance, then the fact that you know that version of life coming out of that person exists somewhere, that even if you cross paths in the future, there's respect. I don't know. Sometimes I think respect is almost as. I think a lot of my love is related to respect.
I hear you.
Like you
Feels as if it pulls out the best of you.
yeah. Like there's a lot of women for who a lot of my higher thinking is they really are responsible for planting the seed. Like their example, things they exposed me to, the things they saw value in, the way they thought about situations differently from me. And and I would have never thought of those things on my own. And if I didn't love them, I wouldn't have had as much respect to try and explore those ways of thinking. And I think in my selfish way of loving, I value a lover by how good the pearls of teaching that they're gonna leave me. Like right now, I've been taught so much by people I've loved that if you're someone I'm trying to maybe explore romantic or like find love with, you're a garbage lover if you're not giving me a lot of like new nice juice. Do you see it? Like I gotta respect you, and I don't think respect falls into a lot of people's sexuality. They want all the falsitudes of like the chemical love. Like I just want the drug, man. Fucking give me the drug. It's like that's not gonna last. But noticing how much someone influences who you are forever, because stuff they've said is never it's gonna hold the road more than anything else. Like that strongly, more than a bunch of other things that strongly, that's gonna resonate with you. I don't know. That's where I understand love is like the glue of what like how much of that person became me. And like we are always going to become as of something else. Like you become as of where you grow up. You become as of who your parents are. You become as of what you believe in. And I think I wonder if I recorded that.
But
I farted.
uh,
I don't know, dude. I feel like I'm exhausting the shit out of you.
I'm alright.
Okay. Okay. I gotta accept maybe you're more in a listening level of energy at the moment. Okay. I get uncomfortable with that. I feel like I'm doing this. 'Cause a lot of people tell me I talk too much. A lot of people tell me I think too much. And I think I'm trying to learn how to share talking more. And how to listen better. But there's also this thing that comes up where you say something that's so contradictory to me, it sparks all these, dude, you just give me, and it's like, just listen, dude. So I think I also understand your urge that it should be a bit more entertaining. And you started like joking with me because I'm like, oh, fuck, man, those are my favorite podcasts with comedians. Where they're not trying to say anything important until they have space to say something important. They're just trying to fucking be jokes.
Yeah,
And then when they run out of jokes, it's like, what's the last dumb thing we said? Let's pretend we have serious things to say about that. And no more jokes come.
I mean, we can, I think we can talk spiritual stuff while making jokes. Spiritual. Fuck. But we can talk about all this shit while making fun about the quantum curry and speaking about, how you manifest.
Should we go more for jokes than for interesting anecdotes?
Interesting.
Should we try and scan the conversation for jokes
Definitely.
Okay, so I'll try and come with that energy next
Would you?
time.
I mean, how do you feel about that?
Look, I think that's my favorite version of myself. If I could become that. Like,
Yeah.
that was me before I got really educated. And the world got harder when I got educated. Like, talking to people sucked more the more I knew. My youngest version was like, oh my God, I'm so full of funny right now around these people. Let's do that. Like, I'm so happy being full of funny for these people. Like,
Yeah. I think we can do that, and we can, I can make fun of love, and then you can make fun of what I said. You don't agree or whatever.
it's funny how I got uncomfortable with the mimicking of Deepak Chopra. That's when I was like,
You respect him.
no, I just think it's gonna sound racist. Like, I just start thinking, oh, it's not gonna be clear to everybody that we're making fun of Deepak Chopra. It's gonna sound like we're making fun of brown people. But the funny thing in my head is, like, the person who taught me to mimic Deepak Chopra is a friend of mine who's Indian.
Right.
And he's talking about his uncle. He's like, yeah, my fucking uncle's into that. He's always like, but Deepak Chopra and the quantum potential. I'm like, oh, this is so funny because he's Indian and he's making fun of his uncle. Like, he's allowed to.
Yeah, yeah. I lived in an ashram, man, for 3.5 years with
Oh,
Indians.
shit.
So, I got it
Dude,
from.
we should fucking say that. That gives you the right after, if the story's good enough.
I mean, yeah.
Where? Where did you live in an ashram? Dude, you've done so much fucking shit. Holy shit. Maybe I should just shut up and listen more. I just sat here and thought loads because I can't sleep. Like, that's what I've done for 33 years of my life. It's not slept well and thought too much. And then attack people who don't seem to have that problem.
Well done.
It's a problem, man.
This is good. This is some honest stuff.
I mean, look, a lot of that stuff came from being put into situations where I was doing something interesting, I guess. Like being in acting school and stuff. But the other kids, rather than making them think a lot, it made them better actors. It didn't do that for me. It just made me think too much. It made me think so much I couldn't fucking act. I was like, dude, what the fuck? You just taught me to do this better? I don't know, man. I can't stop thinking about it. Just do the goddamn scene. Man, why doesn't it slow you down? It slows me down, man. Don't teach me shit then. Just cattle prod me into feeling more. That's what I need. I don't need more thoughts to become a better actor. I just need drugs or a prod with an electric rod.
Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds grounding.
Yeah. Here's your objective. Now go. Just let whatever wants to come out. Come out.
I mean, all these people who wear crystals and shit for grounding, they should just wear an electroshock zapper thing.
Dude, that's why that's interesting. That's interesting. Because, yeah, like, they are not allowing themselves to be unless it's fucking pious, right? But really, our best version of stuff is to find a fun place in which we can be disgusting human beings.
Yeah.
Like, we gotta accept ourselves as animals.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, yeah.
That's why I like comedy. That's why I go up and say shit that gets me in trouble.
And that's so because this is kind of what I'm looking to integrate, right? Because thinking is just one of the senses of the body. Alright. Deepak, I'm sorry for insulting you, Master. Don't disturb the quantum potential.
Okay, but
I beg your very
does this
favor.
look real?
In the name of garam masala, Lord.
Name tikka masala? What? You're still hungry?
Can I feel your chicken shish?
Look, next time eat before we talk, man. We won't have a conversation about kebabs the whole time.
It's late, man. I can't eat before I sleep.
Hi, Misha.
Is that your dog?
Huh?
Anyway, I can't laugh. Yeah.
1 second. What is it?
That is it.
Oh, eggs.
It's mine.
Come on, you guys have them. Take a whole.
What fuck great effect. Just leave it.
Okay. Hey.
Hey. What's up?
This guy.
Yeah, man, I'm like that, man. I'm so fucking literal. Are you a literal person? Like when somebody asks me what's up, it's my brain goes exactly up, and it's very difficult for me to
Oh,
just
like that's
that they want me to tell. I don't know what's happening with me or what do
No,
they
I
want.
think I get pissed off that nobody really means anything when they say that.
Exactly. What the fuck do I answer? Whatever I want. What do they want?
No, they don't know why they're saying it.
Oh, just to fill the gap.
It's just, what's up, man? Oh, they want you to say, I'm good. How you doing?
I'm good. That's the answer. Okay.
It's oh man, it's white people too. You know,
White people, man.
it's
Bastard.
like and it's almost like when you answer them honestly,
They fucking got
they're like going, it's like they're going, why are you loading this so much? Like I was just, why are you making being a good person hard right now? Look, I asked about you. Don't make it any harder for me to be a good person. Force me to listen to you, asshole.
shit.
Like, just be a nice person back and say, "Oh, good for them. They said something that means they care. They did their job. So I'm gonna make it easy for them and go, I'm doing great. How are you doing?" And then we both just made ourselves good people there. And it's like,
5 times.
but
I
you
mean,
know, if we were manifesting, then that would be the best way to go about it. How's everything? Amazing, because that's all I want to come my way. How about you? Amazing. Look how much we're helping each other manifest good shit right now by ignoring any thought that might be negative.
Right, while not changing our beliefs. But you
And
never
not dwelling on the past.
saying what is up. That is true. It's only
What's
the
up?
white people.
Yeah, this guy.
What's up, sir?
It's the best answer ever. It is the best answer.
And also another thing that I cannot answer is everything under control?
Who the fuck's asking you? Is everything under control? Like, who's
Of course
asking
it's
you
not.
that?
What do you mean?
Why is that a question you get a lot?
My managers at work, they asked me. I was working there in the night, and he came and he asked me, "Is everything under control?"
You should tell them. I don't know where the controls to the sun and the moon are, so I can't check. Last I checked that they were doing what they usually do. I don't know. Do you believe in God? Is everything under control? Do you believe in God?
Thank you. And it's a Christian foundation where I work.
So that would be so funny. That would be the best response. I don't know. Do you believe? What kind of God do you believe in? Dude, that's so good. You've got to do that.
I'm waiting for next time. Next time.
At a Christian foundation.
How's everything? I don't know, as God.
No, is everything under control? Are you testing my faith? Is this a job interview? that's such a dick question. You're right. It's such a dick boss question. Like they could ask, do you need help with anything?
They just want to know if like the business is doing okay at the moment or
Yeah.
something. It's just the laziest way of saying how I don't know. Just
No, it's a terrified way of saying, like, is my world not crumbling right now with you working for me?
but it's also my mind, right? Because my mind is like that. Like if somebody asks me how are you, I take it seriously. And
Yeah,
then
but sometimes your boss asks you, is everything under control with that energy? Like, because sometimes you have a controlling boss and they're like, oh God, I haven't been there for like 2 hours.
I know, but I'm pointing out my problem as well. Oh fuck, it's cutting off.